Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of the day that it is. I would like to say welcome to Miss Perkins' literature class. I'm so happy to have you here, day 2, for our next lesson. So let me go ahead and get started. Okay, here we go. So let me bring this all the way up to here. All right, point of view, day 2. You like how that rhymed? Point of view, day 2. All right, so we are focusing on, or yesterday we focused on the narrator of the story, the narrator of a story, and the speaker of a poem, and then we looked at the difference between first and third person point of view. So today is going to be an extension of that. So we're going to take a deeper look at that narrator, speaker, and point of view, and then we're going to apply it, our thinking within text, and then we're going to extend it to thinking about character. Okay, so yesterday our focus was on who's talking. So remember, we had the great big umbrella point of view. Is the narrator in the story talking, or is it the speaker in the poem talking? Okay, so in a story you have a narrator, and in a poem you have a speaker. First person point of view, the character is inside the text, or is a character in the text, or a story or poem, and they use the pronouns I, me, my, our. Remember yesterday we talked about them being selfish, me, my. Everything has to do with them, okay? Their feelings, their thoughts, their beliefs. So then we have third person point of view, and the person that's telling the story or the poem, they are actually not in the text. They are outside of the text, okay? So they're telling a story, or the poem is based on someone else. So they use pronouns such as he, she, or they. All right, so now that we have that together, I hope that you still have your anchor chart from yesterday, and that you keep it in a safe place. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of a practice today to make sure that we are warmed up our brains and we are ready to move on to the next portion of the lesson. So I want you to think about point of view. Is it first person or third person? I want you to think about those pronouns that we just discussed. All right, so my first day of school was so much fun because I went with my brother and my best friend. I'm going to give you a couple minutes so that you can think about what pronouns, what clues do you see? Okay, excellent. I heard my, I heard I, and then my again. Awesome job. So because those are first person pronouns, we know that this is from the first person point of view. All right, excellent job. Let's go to the next one. She went to the store to get pizza for her mother. Unfortunately, after she saw the sale on candy, she forgot all about getting the pizza for her mother. What clues do you see? Looking for those pronouns. Excellent. I heard someone say she, her. Is there anything else? Good job. So we know that with those pronouns that this is fantastic. Oh my goodness, you guys are on a roll today. Third person point of view. Excellent job. So now that we have that review done, we can move on to the next part. So now we're going to be thinking about drawing conclusions using text for support, and make inferences and draw conclusions also using text for support. Okay? So when we draw our conclusions and we're making our inferences, we're going to focus really on character. So we're going to be doing those things. You know, to draw a conclusion or make an inference, use text, evidence, and then what you know, what you feel, what you believe, what you think. It's a good educated guess based on the text that is given to you, right? So we're going to go and actually practice that today. But I wanted to make sure that you understand whenever you draw a conclusion or make an inference, that is an educated, and you are making that guess based on the information that's given to you. All right. So now we are ready to roll. So yesterday we said who's talking, and now today we're thinking about who are they talking? Oh, excuse me. Who are they talking about? So yesterday was who's talking. Today it is who are they talking about? So before we begin, we have to go over our essential vocabulary words. I'm sure that you remember what essential means from yesterday. Essential means very important, very important. These are very important vocabulary words that will help us with today's lesson. So they are our essential, our critical vocabulary words. So character traits, character emotions, direct characterization, and indirect characterization are going to be the words that we think about as we go through today's lesson. So a character is a person, animal, or thing in a story, play, or poem. Character traits are based on a character's personality. Character emotions, that's the character's feelings. Direct characterization, the text, directly states the character's traits or feelings. Indirect characterization, this is when we have to make our inferences and draw our conclusions. The reader has to infer or draw a conclusion about the character's traits or feelings. Okay? All right, so no need to write that down. The slide is here. If you want to rewind the video, look at it later, it is here. Do not write this down. But what we are going to do is we are going to create another masterpiece. All right, so this masterpiece and the thing in the middle, the object in the middle, hopefully you can tell that that is a person. All right, so we're thinking about character. So an author shows character through what a character may say, what they may think, what they may do, and what other characters may say and think about them. Okay. So then the next part of this is we think of character traits, their personality. And so, like, their personality does not change, right? That's the difference between character traits and character feelings. For the most part, your personality stays the same. So if you're a kind person in the beginning, you're probably going to be a kind person at the end. If you're normally shy, that is your personality. Brave, um, inconsiderate, and the prefix in is underlined. It means not, so they're not considerate. Okay, so then we have smart and we have optimistic. And optimistic means that you look at the bright side of things all the time. So that is my character trait. I am optimistic. It doesn't change. Sometimes my feelings, so when I go over to character feelings, sometimes I may feel sad or worried or exhausted or frustrated. But for the most part, my personality stays the same. I'm an optimist. Okay. So let's look at character feelings. Your feelings can change: shocked, exhausted, worried, hopeful, embarrassed. Those things can change. Okay. So those are character feelings. So for direct characterization, that means that the author has directly stated um, the personality or the feelings of the character. So here I put, she is a hard worker. Indirect characterization, I have to put clues in here that can lead someone to believe that they're a hard worker. Okay, so she enjoys studying and tries her best to get good grades. That's indirect characterization. But my clues are she likes to study and she tries really hard to get good grades. So I could say she's a hard worker, right? So in the text, if I were to say she is a hard worker, direct characterization. If I say she enjoys studying and tries her best to get good grades, I'm giving you clues. So that's called indirect characterization. And those clues the reader takes and they make inferences or draw conclusions to come up with how a character may feel, or a character's personality. So what we're going to do today is the same thing as we did yesterday. I want you to pause me, pull out your crayons, your markers, your paper, whatever supplies you need. If you want to go and get some water or a snack or juice, go ahead and do it. I'm going to play music. Once the music stops, I'm going to start on the next part of the lesson. But if you are not finished, please know that you can always stop the video and press play, and I'll be right back. So you may begin. All right, I'm back. Remember, if you are not finished, feel free to pause me and press play when you are finished. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our lesson. Who are they talking about? So as I read this, I'm going to think about who's talking, okay? So yesterday we looked at who's telling the story. So now we're going to look at who's talking, right? Once upon a time, there were three little pigs. One pig built a house of straw, while the second pig built his house with sticks. They built their houses very quickly and then sang and danced all day. Who's talking? I see my pronouns, his, they, their. Who's talking? That is third person point of view. Now we're thinking about who are they talking about? Read it again. Once upon a time, there were three little pigs. One pig built a house of straw, while the second pig built his house with sticks. They built their houses very quickly and then sang and danced all day. Who are they talking about? My clues. Three little pigs, one pig, the second pig. So I'm able to say that the narrator is talking about Three Little Pigs. All right. So let's go over to character trait and personality. So I have this one highlighted for you. I put things in bold print, and not bold print, but a red print, to make sure that you're able to see what I'm seeing as I process this information. So once upon a time, there were three little pigs. One pig built a house of straw, while the second pig built his house with sticks. They built their houses very quickly and then sang and danced all day because they were lazy. So this is, we have to think about, where's your anchor chart? Here's mine. Okay. Character trait. So this is, I would say, I'm not going to say that yet. Hold on. So my clues are: one pig built a house out of straw. The second pig built a house with sticks. And then I have the word lazy. So the author has told us what their trait is. So that is direct characterization. The word lazy is direct characterization. We don't have to guess it. We don't have to make an inference. We don't have to do anything because it's right there. The author says that the character's trait is lazy. All right, so for our next one, we have: once upon a time, there were three little pigs. One pig built a house of straw, while the second pig built his house with sticks. They built their houses very quickly and then sang and danced all day because they were lazy. So, my inference for character feelings: they built their houses very quickly and they sang and they danced. So, I'm able to infer that they are happy, right? They're happy to finally be done with making the house, their little houses. And so they sang and they danced. I know that when you sing and dance, that means that you're happy. You don't sing and dance when you're not happy. So I'm able to make the inference that they are happy. All right, so now we're going to move on to using notes. All right, so you don't have to make a copy of this or anything just yet. I'm going to do all of the modeling for you. I just want you to sit and watch. So what I did was I took a piece of paper and let me see. All right, so let's get out of here so that you can have a better picture of me. So what I did was I took a piece of paper and I folded it like a hot dog. And when I opened it up, I had two columns. This line right here is where I'm going to put the character's name. And the left column, it's my left when I'm looking at the paper, it says text support. So anything that, all my clues that I find from the text, I'm going to put here. Then I have feelings and traits. Or you can put traits and feelings, it doesn't matter. But I put up here trait, and then I broke my paper down into a section because I'm going to find a bunch of clues, right? And then I'm going to draw a conclusion about character trait, their personality. Then I'm going to get probably one text support or text evidence, line of text evidence, and then I'm going to make an inference about the character's feelings. So you have a whole bunch of clues, a whole bunch of inferences that you're able to make here that you can draw a conclusion about the character's personality. Here, I'm going to have a line of a clue, a sentence, and then that's going to help me make an inference about the character's feelings. Okay? All right, so let's get started. So yesterday we started the story of the true story of the three little pigs. So remember I said that we're going to read this gradually, and every time that we read it, we're going to pull out something different that's our focus. Okay? So this is the real story. Get close. This is the real story Way back in once upon a time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold. I'm out of sugar. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now, this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house out of straw? So we're going to stop there, and we're going to come back over to slide. And all right. So I showed you how I folded my paper. I made my two columns. Let me see. I made my two columns, one for tech support and one for traits and feelings. All right. So now, after reading, or I would have done it while I was reading, but it was hard because I was holding the book and trying to show you. So my tech support. So first I started off with my character. My character is Al the Wolf. And my tech support was I was making a cake for my dear old granny. I had a cold. I ran out of sugar, so I walked down the street to ask my neighbor. So, with all those clues, I was able to draw the conclusion that the character's trait is thoughtful, or another word for thoughtful, a synonym is considerate. So I have here suffixes full and et, because those were the words that can stand alone would be thought, and you added on a suffix of full, and then considerate. The base word in that is consider, okay, and your suffix is ate. So that's how I came up with my character traits. So I took a bunch of the clues from the text, and I was able to draw a conclusion about the character's personality. So Al the Wolf, I would describe him as thoughtful or considerate, right? Because he was making a cake for his grandmother. I mean, that's pretty thoughtful. On top of that, he had a cold while he was making the cake, which is a little germy, but that's okay. Still thoughtful. And even though he ran out of sugar and he wasn't feeling well, he didn't stop and not make the cake. He was thoughtful and he went to the neighbor's house to borrow some sugar. Okay. So considerate, thoughtful, that's how I would describe him. I'm sure I want you to turn to a neighbor, a parent, a pretend person, and I want you to tell me what character trait do you believe that Al has? I said thoughtful and considerate. What do you think? Okay, good job. Remember, it's important that we talk about our learning so that we are sure to process out this information so that it sticks. All right, so the second part of my graphic organizer, I had a terrible sneezing cold. So I'm able to infer that Wolf was feeling unwell. The prefix un is underlined, right? Because well can stand by itself. So unwell means not well, which the synonym for that is sick. Okay, so at the top, bunch of clues. I was able to draw the conclusion that the wolf's character trait is thoughtful, or the synonym considerate. For character feelings, and I use text evidence. I had a terrible sneezing cold, and I'm able to infer that he was feeling unwell. The synonym for unwell is sick. All right, so what you are going to do is on your own, you're going to complete one activity in each column of your choice board. For your readings, right? Because in your choice board, you're going to have, okay, so a column. First of all, let me tell you about a column. The rows go like this, the columns go like this, right? So you need to complete two activities or one activity in each of the columns, okay? For your reading choice board, please do not forget to complete the character graphic organizer. So when you select one of the readings, because there are going to be 2 readings there, so you pick whichever text you want to use, and then you make sure that you create your foldable graphic organizer and fill it in, okay? All right, so that is today's lesson. I want to say that you guys did a fantabulous job, as always. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you tomorrow for Ms. Perkins' literature class. See you tomorrow. Bye.